Welcome to the virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for Middle Class Film Class. Please welcome to your screen, Middle Class Film Class.
Hi and hello, classmates. Welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class Gab and Chatter edition for Saturday, September 24th, 2022. I'm your host for today, Tyler.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Joseph.
On this episode, Keanu returns for an iconic role. Eric Holmes defends Joseph, and Tom Hardy seriously kicks ass. Plus, James Cameron wasted over a year on Avatar, and John Hamm is a real mensch.
I could have told you that.
I
What's
know.
a mensch? Like a wench? Like a male version of a wench?
No. It's like it's a
mensch is
term of endearment.
Yeah, mensch is what my people, like aspired people, call
Ubermensch?
a good guy.
Inspired people.
A good guy. Yeah,
Ubermensch?
yeah. Like a mensch is like a good dude, someone he's one of the good ones.
Is it related to like Munchausen by proxy?
Munchausen. That's Munchausen.
No.
Munchausen.
I think.
Well, I don't
Like
know.
there
I
should
don't
be
know
a
what that
Munchausen.
means though.
I don't know anything about that, but it's great to be back in the Abeta studio.
Here,
and
here.
this is a special occasion. And if you are an audio listener, so be it.
Oh.
And you can find wherever you stream your podcasts on once this releases officially. But if you want to view the podcast through your eyeballs, head on over to stabcomedy.tv.
It's twitch.tv/stab comedy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. Please support Stab Comedy. They do great programming, and
Indeed, we have our benevolent overlord Jesse watching us as we speak.
yes,
right
finally Jesse. We haven't heard from him in a while, so it's nice to hear his voice again. Glad he's doing well.
Mhm.
But first and foremost, how are you guys doing?
now. I'm great.
I'm fine. It's officially fall, even though it doesn't really feel like it.
What do you mean it doesn't
It was
feel like
89 degrees yesterday.
It's about to be 91 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's Sacramento fall for you, though. You know, like
That's not any different than the Sacramento summer.
Are you kidding me? It was over 100. It was over. It reached triple digits for 2 weeks.
I
at
would
one
say that
point.
this summer was more of the mild summer compared to other summers.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh, I thought
It-
this was a miserable.
We had
summer.
one like maybe 2 week spread that was miserable, where usually it's 4 or 5 weeks in a row where it's
Mhm.
over 100. It would
Yeah.
like dip down and then just get ungodly hot.
Yeah, hellish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just
We did
super
get,
thankful to be under 95 degrees.
We did get a nice downpour last week.
That's right.
Which
So
was
if
very
anyone
nice.
who's in Sacramento listening to this, they can understand the appreciation of the rainfall that we have been blessed with.
Oh, it was glorious.
It was
Now my
awesome.
allergies are back up to snuff. The mold's in the air now. I'm back on the Zyrtec, baby.
Oh yeah. Well, enough about the weather in our local area. Let's get into some gab and chatter.
Let's hear about the weather in your local area.
Find some charity, ye lad. Now's the time for gab and chatter.
So gab and chatter. So for anyone who is new to the show, we usually like to kibitz about this, that, and the other of movie news, movie discussions, and what have you, and also streaming picks. Pete, what are your news stories, or what you have to talk about in the cinematic universe today?
The one thing so last week, number one, I was going to talk about the People's Joker. I scrapped that. We had our discussion, we had our taking one for the team with Brianna inaugural episode, and that was it went too long for me to talk about. I don't want to rush to the People's Joker. I want to take my time, and again, I want to take my time talking about the People's Joker. So it's going to next week.
All right.
One thing that I'm very excited about, the news came out finally this week, or I guess last week, is are you guys familiar with Constantine, the movie,
Oh, of course.
or the comic book series, or the Netflix TV series?
Or the American Idol singer.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. I'm only familiar with the.
Fuck, I forgot about that guy.
I'm only familiar with the movie that came out in 2006.
Something like that.
You don't need to guess the answer.
Yeah, it was. So it was Keanu Reeves in the titular role of John Constantine. The
What a name.
yeah,
The vigilante priest demon hunter.
yeah, he's basically like a shamed priest that hunts demons on Earth or something like that.
Yeah.
And the devil really wants to take his soul because he's
Peter Stormare really
Peter.
wants him.
Oh fuck, my favorite interpretation.
I was
of the
going to say
devil.
the best iteration of Satan himself.
So good. So that movie is very fun. I don't think a lot of people would give it the credit that it's due.
It's badass.
It's fucking cool. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a scene where another priest drinks himself to death.
or he can't drink himself to death.
He thinks he needs to get a drink because he's an alcoholic, and in the real world he's chugging booze at the liquor store, but
Yeah.
in his mind he's not getting any of it in his mouth, so he literally drinks himself to death.
Mhm.
There's demons, there's bug demons, there's there's what's her name, Tilda Swinton as an angel.
Oh, that's right. She played what's that angel's name? I can't remember.
Galadriel.
No, no, this is real life, Joseph. That's a fantasy.
This
So
is the Bible.
yeah.
Okay. This was real.
How could it be? How could it be not true if it's written in a book? So,
And
anyways,
Jesus wrote it himself.
yeah, it's true. Jesus, John Constantine, Christ.
Yeah.
So there is a sequel confirmed for the Constantine movie.
Ooh.
Yes, and Keanu is returning to play John Constantine, which makes me very happy.
With his hair now.
Does it say it's going to be like a time? Oh yeah, the fucking hair. That distracted me in the Matrix 4. I was just like, come on.
What?
His hair.
His hair.
It's like
hair.
his long hair is like
his
his
greasy,
look
stringy long hair.
What, like
He always looks so greasy.
his Point Break hair?
now. Well, first of all, you're one to talk.
I know.
What do you mean I'm one to
Look
talk?
at that greasy mop on top
This
of your
is not-
head.
this is- but the-
Tyler can admit, he admitted last week to Joseph and I off air that he doesn't believe in combs or brushes
That's right.
for his hair.
That's right. All I need is the 10 fingers that my God-given 10 fingers
Mhm.
to.
This is not a religious show, Tyler.
What if he didn't have those 10 fingers all of a sudden?
Well, then I would look a mess.
What if you woke up one day and you just didn't have 10
Yeah, and
fingers anymore?
You were
Well,
getting
see, that
you were
would have been
getting
a perfect.
you were getting loopered from the future.
That would have been a perfect preamble question that you could have asked. What if you woke up with no hands?
No, we're going to talk about the sequel to Constantine. So like I said, Keanu Reeves is going to play John Constantine,
Mhm.
and J.J. Abrams is involved. So he's been developing a Constantine series for HBO Max that was going to effectively like ditch the sequel whole idea, but now he is attaching himself to this project. I'm
In
sure.
what capacity?
I think just as a producer. I don't think he's going to direct it. But you don't like J.J. Abrams? You don't think he's entertaining enough?
He
for you?
ruined Star Wars.
Oh, I mean, he made the first one, which was just a copy of the first movie that was released ever of Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, New Hope.
And then he didn't direct the second one. And then did he direct the third one?
He produced the second one, and then he
You said Star Wars. You're talking Star Trek.
No.
You said Star Wars.
Yeah,
no, he directed.
he-
He directed the.
he
the-
was a
the-
part
the
of
Force
Star Wars.
Awakens.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. And it made a big deal. He shot it on film. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway,
They shot that movie on film,
Yeah.
and then oozing CGI out of every pore.
he did make Star Trek cool though.
Is there any like specific details about this Constantine sequel? Like, is it going to be like a time jump?
No,
or...
none of that. It's really early on. We're
Oh,
not
okay.
going to speculate. We're not here to speculate.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm just really excited about that. It's a movie that I've probably seen 5 or 6 times, just because it is very fun.
Perfect seasonal Halloween
Yeah.
sort of type of
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, great one. There's a stop motion animation movie that's coming to Netflix called Wendell and Wild. That's
I
we
heard
talked
I heard
about a little
that.
bit
The
of
Key and Peele. right?
Key and Peele voiced Wendell and Wild,
Yeah.
but it's the director that did Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline, and it's coming out like 3 days before Halloween. So
Okay.
pretty juiced about that. Okay, so that's John Constantine Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Excited about that. We have an unconventional ranking that Joseph has brought to the show.
Oh,
His-
we.
We do. We'd have one. It's now
Yeah,
part of
it's the
it's canon.
MCFC alien ranking. That's how.
Yeah,
that's
we've
official
all
ranking.
we all agreed on it. We voted.
Did I agree on it? I can't
Tyler,
remember.
Tyler missed the vote.
majority anyway.
So Joseph, we want to recap what your top of the first 4 Alien movies, what they were.
Number 1 is Alien. Alien, the original,
Okay.
is the best Alien movie.
Yeah.
Okay, we can all agree on that, I think.
Yes.
Okay, in my opinion, the next best Alien movie is Alien 3.
Alien 3, okay.
Yes, and then the next best, the third best. Well, not the, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not just like this is the best, the third best Alien movie.
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection.
Oh boy.
And then Aliens
Ah!
is the fourth best of the original quadrilogy.
My parts of my guts are removing
That's what I said,
themselves.
right? I'm
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it.
That's exactly what you said.
So we got
Oh,
we got a
God.
listener mail. We have an email from friend of the show Eric Holmes, who wrote in to our email mcfcpodcast@gmail.com
Mhm.
and decided to back Joseph up
Oh,
a little bit.
okay, a little bit.
I started reading through this epic message here, and I thought, you know what? Why don't we just get Eric call into the show?
Yeah.
So we have Eric waiting in the green room right now. And Eric, can you hear us?
I can. Sipping on
Hey!
my middle class film glass here.
Yes, look at that. The streamers will not be able to see it, but he's drinking out of our three heads right now.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
how
I always
sweet.
like to give you guys head.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got a good head on that beer. So what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Oh, not bad. I just laid some soft serve in the other room, and
Oh,
now I'm
wonderful.
here to talk aliens.
Are you you're in Golden, Colorado right now, right?
Colorado Springs, but yeah, Colorado.
We all just call Colorado the Golden State. Golden, Colorado, even though
yeah.
Golden is the actual city.
Oh, so he's a Broncos fan.
No. Definitely not.
Who's your team?
I guess 49ers.
Hey.
But, like I'm not that passionate about it. Like
Hey.
if they do good, I'm like, hey, good for them. If
Yeah.
they do bad, it's like, well, next week, guys.
Yeah. Hey, you and Tyler both, except he's Steelers. He pretends to be a
I
Steelers
see.
fan.
You're
Are you
not,
pretending
you're
to
not
be a
wearing a
Steelers fan?
49ers shirt, and as Tyler is. Tyler's wearing a Steelers shirt.
Eric's more of a fan of Quentin Tarantino than he is the 49ers.
Oh, I see. Right.
That would be accurate.
Yeah,
That
good
would-
choice. Good choice.
Okay, so Eric, you heard Joseph's 2-week-long ranking of aliens, and you
Yeah.
heard our groans and moans,
Mhm.
and you didn't feel the same as me and Tyler did. So tell us what your ranking is, or what you're thinking.
So it's weird because you guys were just doing the first four Alien movies,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and so my ranking on that would actually be Alien 3 at number 1,
Ooh,
Alien
wow.
number 2,
Wow.
and then Alien Resurrection and Aliens, just like Joseph had it.
Okay.
Controversial.
Well, it gets weird
It gets weirder, trust me.
because then because you guys didn't count Prometheus and Alien Covenant,
Mhm.
which is,
Right.
technically 5 and 6 of the series.
Yeah.
The Alien versus Predators are movies, and
Technically.
yeah, they are. I hope they have fun. with
It's hard
those.
to consider those canonical at all.
But I really don't like Alien Covenant, so that's like beneath the bottom for me.
Okay.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw it once in theaters, and I was like, I tried so hard staying awake for that movie.
Was it the alien demon dogs or whatever?
It was just you ever just watch a movie and your brain just checks out, and all you want to do is sleep while watching it.
Yeah, that's
Many
was kinda-
times.
that's
that
the
was
next
Alien.
half of this episode we're about to do.
Okay.
That's later in the week.
My heart just dropped.
Well, that was Alien Covenant for me. I was just
Mhm.
having so much trouble staying awake. That movie was boring as hell.
Okay. It was just boring. I see.
So it wasn't even like that movie sucks. It was like,
It was a push.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's just barely above Alien versus Predator.
Oh my god.
So even if you were to take out the alien aspect of the movie, like if it was just a sci-fi horror movie, it would still be boring.
Yeah,
Okay.
Alien Covenant. But the weird one is Prometheus, because I love Prometheus.
Hmm. I do too.
In fact, when I saw Prometheus, it made me like Alien, the first Alien, even more.
Mhm.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
So now, if we're adding Prometheus and Covenant almost doesn't even matter. in
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
'cause so far
It's last no matter what.
Yeah. But if we're adding Prometheus to the mix, now the rankings: Alien, Prometheus, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, and Aliens.
Okay.
So it retroactively changes once you add the Prometheus into the mix.
Yeah, if I know I'm going to be watching, like I'll probably pretty much always watch Alien 3 first. Like if I'm going to pick one, it's going to be Alien 3.
Yeah.
If someone's like, "Oh, let's watch Prometheus," I'm like, "Cool." We gotta watch Alien first, though.
I've heard people say that Prometheus ruined Alien a little bit for them because of the demystification of the space jockey. Like you now see it's not this weird statue thing, it's a person in a suit.
The thing with the space jockey, I didn't when watching them, I didn't think that much of it. In the Alien movie, it was just background to me.
Me too.
He's only in one scene,
it's like
Yeah.
Han Solo with his dice.
Mm-hmm.
In the new movies, it's like, wait, his dice were a big deal. Hey, let me go back and watch the movie. Make sure the dice are even in there.
I guess Han Solo's Gambit now. He's a gambler or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's really interesting, and there's probably more, maybe a dozen people who like the Alien 3 the best. So you're
a dozen.
There's
dozens of us.
Yeah, I know.
Is there a reason why you have Aliens number 4? Like, what's your reasoning behind that?
Well, now Aliens number 4 doesn't mean it's like a 2-star movie.
Yeah.
It just means it's like 9.95 star movie, and the rest are 10s.
Oh, okay.
So I also, I guess I should clarify the rankings. It doesn't start to actually go down with any significance until we get the Alien Covenant and the Alien versus Predators, and then we start to get the unwatchable status for me.
Right.
But the Alien's like, oh, it's number 4. You hate it? No, not at all. Aliens is great. It's just we're going kind of splitting hairs at that point.
Some huge margin between them.
Sophie's choice.
Yeah.
Joseph gave it a C. So,
but I did in the email I mentioned, because with the Prometheus, where I watch it and it, we're talking like nano percentages of making me like it better, but it didn't make me like Alien better.
Yeah.
But has there ever been a movie in a franchise that you watch and it's like, wow, that new one made me appreciate the old one better? Not in a negative way, like this is so bad, I appreciate the ones that
like it enriches the universe almost.
Yeah.
I can't think of one.
2049 Blade Runner. I mean, it made me like. Actually kind of made me like the first one less.
Because 2049's
the
better.
exact opposite of what I asked for.
You son of a bitch.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, I think I liked the first Terminator more after watching Terminator 2. And I saw it in reverse, but like in reflection, like I saw Terminator 2 first. Went back and watched the first one and revisited the second one, and then like, oh, okay, well that makes a lot more sense now. And it made me actually like both of them better,
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of fucked up when you see the sequel before the first one anyways, and it's kind of hard to rearrange your thoughts, but they fed into each other in a big way.
The Human Centipede 2 made the first one a lot better.
I don't know about that. There should have never been any sequel to that series.
We got activity in the chat. Kevin says Alien versus Predator is goated for real.
All right, Kevin, calm down.
And then he also says that T2 does make T1 much better. So, Eric, we did a really shitty job of introducing you. So why don't you tell, before we take off, tell our listeners why your rankings matter. Like, do you watch like a one or two
my
movie?
rankings don't matter at all.
Why are you an authority on the Alien
stupid
fan?
human just like the rest of us.
You have your own show, right? Your own podcast?
Yeah, sometimes. So let me just take a sip of this middle class film glass. So real quick, before I do that, where do people get these lovely glasses?
You know what?
These are fantastic.
They are beautiful, aren't they, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, if you're listening to this right now on the podcast, go to our show notes. It's in the notes. It says get some merch, and you can click there. You can get these T-shirts,
mugs
with our
sweaters,
mugs, yeah,
hoodies, cropped hoodies.
T-shirts.
You can't get this sweet sriracha coffee mug though. Got that from Daddy Bezos.
I think we're in the talks of getting some middle class film class thongs.
Yes, G strings.
Yeah, so
Let
look out
me
for that.
know
Jock
when
straps.
those come out in my size.
Jock straps and cups to go with them.
Yeah. No, Eric's one of the 3 hosts of Find Your Film in the Cinematics universe, which is also hosted by Greg Cersavasi, who's also been on the show to talk about Raising Cain, and Bruce, who gave us Night of the Beast,
Yeah.
and Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
And Eric,
yeah.
your 2 movies are all on our list now.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I don't.
Oh, you know what?
Revanche.
Yeah, would I do Revanche and what was the other one?
I can't remember because I never heard of either one of them before you
Have
mentioned
you guys seen there's one called Der Man aus dem Eis. It's also called Iceman, but
Mm-mm.
like it's by like the German
Capture,
Swedish
Kill,
version
Release
of
was
it.
the other one.
Capture, Kill, Release.
No, I
Oh,
don't
okay,
believe I've
yeah,
heard of it.
that's a good one too. It's a found footage movie.
Oh, okay, cool.
Pretty good
Okay.
one. I don't like found footage movies, but that one seems to be pretty good. But the Iceman,
Mm-hmm.
maybe write that, or maybe just watch that one. That one's good.
It's a recommend. It's just a recommend.
That's a high recommend. You know,
Yeah.
I watched a decent found footage movie, which I'll talk about in the stream picks later. It was
Sweet.
pretty fun. It's a Korean
Yeah,
Korean found footage movie. That's scary.
was that Wreck?
No, it was
Wait, no, that's Spanish.
Gan
Never mind.
Ganjin Haunted Asylum or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah, Brianna's has wanted to watch it for a while. So, all right, Eric, you got anything else you wanted to pimp out before we let you go?
Yes, I am on Finder Film with Greg and Bruce, and we talk about movies. And right now, I'm on Middle Class Film Class, and you guys should listen to it because it's an awesome show, and you guys are cool people.
We have awesome
And-
rankings.
And Middle Class Film Class is home of the second best Alien ranking by Joseph. So
Yeah, that's right.
That is
first
correct.
best being mine, the third best being everyone else.
High accolades.
Here's you want my rankings?
What's that?
Off the top of my head. Alien, then Aliens, then Alien 3, then Alien Resurrection, and then,
So
Prometheus.
just
and-
release order.
Yeah, that's the release order. I rank them from when they're released till the newest one.
I like how you held up on the Alien Resurrection as if like, what's
Yeah.
the fourth one going to
Yeah. So, hey, it was good talking to you, Eric. We'll talk to you soon.
be? Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Good talking to you guys.
Thanks.
Later, buddy.
Have a good day.
What a delight.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
The official rankings for Find Your Film and Middle Class Film Class
Yes.
is that Alien 3 is the best.
Official rankings of all. I forgot to ask him if it was the assembly cut or not.
Minus Prometheus, Alien 3 is the best Alien movie.
Okay, so that's all I have for my news segment. Joseph, go ahead.
Okay, well, I have some pretty interesting news that we all heard about. The actor known as Tom Hardy, who has been in such films as Bronson, Dark Knight Rises, he makes an appearance on Peaky Blinders. Venom is one movie.
Fury Road.
2 movies he's in. Yeah, he's in that movie, sort of. And yeah, he's in a bunch of movies. But also,
Wait, Tom Hootie?
also, he is apparently a Brazilian jiu-jitsu master champion now, because he entered a Brazilian jiu-jitsu championship in Milton Keynes and won.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Do you think he learned his martial arts from when he did his movie Warrior?
Maybe.
Could be.
I think so, because I recently watched a couple of clips from Warrior, and that didn't look like some choreographed stuff. Like, it looked like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. So Tom Hardy, who is 45 years old, entered the 2022 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Open Championship, which is a competition held by Ultimate Martial Arts Championships at Oak Grove School in Milton Keynes. And he's dressed in a blue gi, subduing his opponents, winning all the matches. And he entered under his real name, which is Edward Hardy.
No shit.
Yeah.
His name is Edward.
His name is Ed Hardy.
Wow. It makes so much sense now.
A spokesman.
Is that true? Are you just doing
That's
a bit?
that's what his name is. His name is Edward Hardy.
Oh God, that's funny.
A spokesperson for the championship called Hardy a really nice guy who was a real pleasure to host at their tournament. Everyone recognized him, but he was very humble and was happy to take time out for people to take photographs with him. It was a real pleasure to have him compete at our event. And this isn't like some like Steven Seagal type martial arts. This is like legit stuff where people aren't just like falling over every time they just twist their hand.
Well, I don't know if you should disparage Steven Seagal's
No, I
ability
should. He should
to.
absolutely disparage Steven Seagal.
Yes, yes, we should all do that.
I said his ability, not his
No,
personality.
his ability too.
His ability. He's
He's a judo master.
all right. We're gonna make Tyler for some punishment for something that we'll make up.
Why am I being punished? Why?
We'll find a reason.
No,
And we're gonna make you watch the most recent Steven Seagal movie. God, it's bad. They're so bad.
yeah, they are.
Hardy's opponent, who is a veteran, I don't know if he's a veteran, but like maybe a jiu-jitsu veteran.
Probably jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Danny Appleby was completely shocked that Hardy won, basically. Applebee's says, I've done about 6 tournaments and I've been on the podium in every one, but he's probably the toughest competitor I've had. He's certainly lived up to his Bane character, that's for sure. Maybe not in height, but in ferocity and in intensity.
Kevin in the chat says this is a bot lobby jiu-jitsu tournament.
He basically is low level ranking.
It's actually a junior high tournament.
He's Kramer in karate class fighting kids.
Tom Hardy is the Kramer in the Seinfeld reboot. Make it happen.
That is crazy. When I heard that story, I was like, that's insane, but I'm not surprised that Tom Hardy would do something like that.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone to look up the story and look at the pictures of him in his like gi. He looks so unrecognizable.
According to everybody else, he was very recognizable.
Well, I mean, like when I saw the pictures, like
for sure.
I didn't even.
He's like very scruffy. He looks a little older. The pictures are very doctored up though. They're very like sharp and contrasty, so it makes him look a little older. But yeah, it's just insane to think about. I mean, he played a boxer basically in Bronson, so he fighting in that movie, Warrior, Bane. A
lot of fights in Legend.
Yeah,
not official fights, but
just like brawls.
Yeah,
bar roll.
Lawless. He's got some fighting in that too.
Inception a little bit. Not so much hand to hand combat, but
he's a fit dude.
Verbal combat.
Yeah,
no, that is exciting. That is pretty cool. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Hardy is a pretty interesting dude. Actor
he's
and
like a Renaissance man.
Top 5 actors you'd like to share a beer with?
Well, I don't know. He seems a little boring.
A guy who wins a jiu-jitsu.
Won a jiu-jitsu tournament. Boring.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Yeah.
Let me know when you.
What's his thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's what I want to know.
What are his alien rankings?
Hey, yo, Tom, what's your alien movie rankings?
Fuck off, wanker. That's what he would call you. Yeah, but that's all I got.
That's your story.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. So I have a couple of news stories for this week. So James Cameron spent a year writing a first draft script for Avatar 2, and then he just threw it away. He worked a whole year on it and just threw it away. So, I mean, and I like
to think he didn't do a single thing besides that for a year straight.
Like he wrote it and then
it was like
it wasn't doing anything else.
Have either of you guys seen Stella, the TV series?
Never heard of it. No.
It's like a sketch, almost like a sketch comedy show, but it's a David Wayne, Michael Ian Black, and Michael Showalter. It's the 3 of them. They're like,
oh, that does sound
they're
familiar
like roommates,
now.
friends, and they're all like borderline like mentally impaired. Like they're so dumb. Their characters are playing characters, and at one point, all 3 of them are typing their manuscript, like their. And they're typing all 3 of them on one typewriter at the same time, typing their masterpiece. And it's like, and that was the greatest moment of our life. Done. And they picked the last piece up and put it on this foot thick, 6-inch thick stack of paper. And one of them just gets up and throws it immediately into the fireplace. And they're like, why'd you do that? I was wrong and I'm sorry. And they just start all over again.
That's interesting.
That's how James Cameron did it.
There's this clip of Taika Waititi talking about script writing and how he writes scripts. And basically what he does is that he'll write a script, he'll table it for a year, come back to it a year later, and like reread it, and then be like, "Who the fuck wrote this shit?" And so he'll
Who put this shit in my room?
He'll throw that script away and then rewrite a script based on what he remembers from his old script.
Yeah, that takes a lot of energy, a lot of mental energy,
and discipline.
Kevman says if it was bad as the first Avatar, then good.
So anyways, Avatar 2, Avatar The Way of the Water is premiering this year.
Is that the name of the movie?
Yeah,
Avatar 2, Avatar The Way of the Water.
Well,
yes.
No, I should have gone with it. Yeah. So it's premiering on December 16th this year, which I'm kind of excited about, honestly. Like, I mean, yeah, Avatar 1, it's mediocre. But it was, like I said before in previous episodes of Middle Class Film Class, that it's more of like a roller coaster than anything else. Like, I'm not going for a story-driven movie. I'm just going for the experience.
I thought it was very, very groundbreaking for what it was, and it was visually pleasing, and the story was good.
Yeah, they wouldn't shut up about how groundbreaking it was.
It's basically it's like Fern Gully,
Like when that movie was coming out.
It's exactly like Fern Gully
in 2009.
More violence.
Yeah, 2009, right?
It was 2009. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that it was like the technology they used. Animation is fantastic.
Did you know that Lord of the Rings was directly responsible for the Avatar?
Was it? In terms of what technology?
Because James Cameron saw Gollum on screen and said, now I can make that movie that I want to make. Seriously.
He's like motion capture. Yeah.
He's like, the fact that they can do that, a fully fleshed out character on screen as a main character-ish, he's like, okay, now I can make the movie that I want to make.
Well, he did write the movie in the 90s, and he like sat on it until like technology caught up.
Exactly.
So I thought that was great. Anyways,
it took him 12 years to make. They wouldn't shut up about that either.
I know. So James Cameron goes on to saying, when I sat down with my writers to start Avatar 2, I said, we cannot do the next one until we understand why the first one did so well. So he didn't really understand why it did so well. I had great confidence in your work, Cameron.
I think it's because everyone knows that James Cameron very rarely misses.
James Cameron does. I can't remember that quote. It's a meme. So
you're quoting a meme on the show?
Yeah, that's right. If you're waiting for an apology, keep waiting. He goes on to saying, we must crack the code of what the hell happened, he says to the Times UK, about navigating a follow-up to the massive blockbuster sci-fi fantasy film starring Zoe Saldana and Sam Worthington.
Mm-hmm. And Stephen Lang, the blind guy from Don't Breathe.
Cameron shared his 3 categories that a film must succeed in. Well, and he goes on to saying, well, all films work on different levels. The first is surface, which is character, problem, and resolution. The second is thematic. What is the movie trying to say? But Avatar also works on a third level, subconscious.
He's Johnny mnemonicing us.
Oh, God. He's incepting us.
Yeah.
Like my movie.
The subconscious component, according to Cameron, is why audience return to theaters to see Avatar more than once, leading the film to gross $2 billion, which is crazy.
It was subliminal messaging, subliminal hypnotization.
Yeah.
You like this movie? Want to see it again?
Well, now fans can relive that experience thanks to the original movie being re-released September 23rd, which is yesterday at this time of the recording, with a new 4K high dynamic range restoration. As Cameron learned, that trifecta of Avatar magic was hard to capture again. He goes on to say,
how much of this story are you going to read about him scrapping his first script?
Well, I think it's just a really interesting process. He goes on to say, I wrote an entire script for the sequel, read it, and realized that it did not get to level 3, the subconscious.
Level 3?
Level 3. The third criteria.
He's leveling these things?
Just like I said previously, there's 3 levels of the movie that he wants to meet for his Avatar sequel.
Well, not all of his movies have been bangers. His first feature film being Piranha 2, The Spawning.
Oh, gosh. He was did he direct? I can't remember.
He officially directed it.
You know Ari Aster's first feature film? Hereditary? Yeah. Don't talk to me about. Oh, it was his first movie.
That was in the 70s. Come on.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Then he goes, say, boom, start over. That took a year. And then this is kind of where it kind of gets off the rails a little bit. He goes on to say,
Oh, now it's off the rails.
well, it gets even more off the rails if that's what you
Further from the rails.
He goes, well, I was also doing
Okay.
well, I was also off doing deep ocean exploration for a while. I'm a filmmaker, so I can pay for my expeditions.
What?
Money.
Well, he did direct the greatest all-time grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
And also Titanic, which at
Yeah.
that time was the highest box office of all time.
You know that he was in a deep sea exploration when he found out about 9/11?
Yeah, he was in a submarine
Yeah.
near the Earth's core.
Yeah. He had like just come back from like a voyage, basically.
Kev Man is on fire in the chat. He says Avatar took me to level 4 unconscious.
Oh, zing. Yeah, he says, I'd much prefer to be out exploring and seeing things nobody imagined existed for real rather than making them up.
Why isn't he going to space?
But that's
But
that's the beauty of the Avatar world, is all the unique creatures and plant life and
Right?
all that stuff. That's the best part of it for me.
This guy's a narcissist. This guy's a narcissist.
Well, yeah,
that incredibly unobtainable material, unobtainium.
yeah.
And then he says, but I'm good at making them up too. Oh,
Unobtainium?
he's good at making them up too. So I do that as well.
Mhm.
And then I'll read this last quote and then I'll move on to my next story. He goes on to say, I think I could have made a sequel 2 years later and have it bomb because people didn't relate to the characters or the direction of the film. My personal experience goes like this. I made a sequel called Aliens, Joseph, 7 years after the first movie. It was very well received. I made a sequel called Terminator 2, 7 years after the first movie. It did an order of magnitude of more in revenue than the first film. So,
He's playing the long game.
yeah, I mean, I think
You gotta tease him a little.
He's doing the opposite of Ty West. He's doing 3 movies in 1 calendar year.
yeah, I think
He's doing the King Gizzard method.
I gotta give him credit though, because I have to say, like, as much as Avatar is a mediocre movie, I really did enjoy myself, and I saw it twice in the theaters. So I
you
mean,
got to the subconscious
You did?
level.
You saw it twice in theaters?
yeah, I saw it once in 3D and then once regular.
I have no desire to ever watch that movie again.
I kind of want to see it in IMAX.
I only watch
the new
it.
release.
I will only watch it in theaters. God forbid I watch it on my own television. I will never do that, but I will watch it in theaters because, like I said, it's like the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids experience at Disneyland. Except like they don't have like, you know what movie theaters need to have? They need to have like the like smell-o-vision and like rumbly seats and stuff.
This
like
show
that.
has smell-o-vision, Tyler.
What do you mean? What?
Every time I'm like, hi Tyler, are you smoking cloves recently? You smell very earthy.
You burn sage in your car?
No, that's just my very fragrant musk.
Before he put on that brand new fresh Steelers jersey.
I got this for Christmas, friend.
Yeah,
He drove it on. He got it on the way here.
No, he buried it in the
Hold
yard
on,
for a week just to get his signature musk.
I'm running late. I got to stop by the mall and get a Steelers shirt. We have also in the chat Digital DeQuinley, who's a regular he's a regular in our chat.
Is it?
He says, I liked Avatar. It's a little predictable, but overall I loved it. And Kevin says he's waiting for Titanic 2 from James Cameron.
Well, spoiler alert, there is a Titanic 2, but not by James Cameron.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my next news story is coming from Collider.com, and this goes on to say that John Hamm donated 60% of his Confess Fletch, which is his new film, salary to save the film. First of all, I just want to point out that I'm really, really glad that John Hamm has a leading role in a film, because I feel like he's always playing like these like side characters or like these surprising
Cameo.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. These cameos in films, because it's like, oh, it's John Hamm from Mad Men.
Does he play the lead in Mad Men?
Yeah,
Or one of them?
He's the lead. He's the Mad Man.
Yeah. And he is very mad.
Of the Mad Men, he's the maddest.
Don Draper. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really because he's an incredible actor, and I really like John Hamm in Mad Men. It's a great show. I encourage everyone to watch it, and it's probably on AMC Plus.
Tyler likes the part
like
where
that.
they backhand women constantly, tell them how to live their lives.
Yeah, I know.
And
Can we go
back?
back?
Cigarette afterwards.
I know. Can we go back to that time? Jesus Christ.
Back to the good old days.
Drinking
Yeah.
at work, good old times.
Smoking indoors.
I know. We really,
Get home with a nice cooked meal.
we really need to go back to that.
Beating up hippies.
So Miramax was going to pull this film, and because of budget reasons, and then John Hamm was so passionate about this project, he said, "No way. Take however much money you can take from my salary, so we can get this movie made." It's has gone on to a bunch of critical acclaim. I really want to check this movie out.
Have you seen the original?
I
I don't even know if there. I didn't even know there was.
Fletch is it's a Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase.
And apparently it's like a series. Like there's all
Yeah.
it's like a bunch of books or stories or something.
I know it's
'cause he's
based
a
off of a-
character.
I know it's based off of a book series,
Yeah,
but I didn't know there
it's like
was
a
like actual physical media.
Yeah,
or-
it's like a what's it called? Like a secret agent, but he's kind of a dope.
Yeah, it's Chevy Chase.
Like yeah, it's like Get Smart or something.
so
but I
it's
don't-
Fletch, Chevy Chase, and then like Fletch 2, Fletch Lives or something like that.
I think so. Yeah, I've never seen any of them, so like the whole Fletch franchise means nothing to me.
I've
but
seen
I,
the first one.
but I really like John Hamm, and it is getting a lot of good reviews.
yeah.
The day it came out, I looked it up, and it was like a $20 rental. So I'm just gonna wait for it to
Be $5.
die down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's in theaters right now as of this recording, so that would be maybe something to see. But the director goes on quoting to saying, "So basically what we did is John gave back 60% of his salary to the budget. I gave some of my salary, not as much as John because he's richer than me and I've got 3 kids. And we bought 3 more days of shooting. We got it up to 30 days in Boston and 1 day in Rome. And we said, F it, we're insane, we're dumb, we're going to make this movie." And then Miramax really supported us creatively. They didn't fight us on the people we wanted to cast. So based on the director giving up some of his salary and then John Hamm giving up a majority of his salary, they were able to shoot more and do a little bit more traveling to film this movie. And
Good for John Hamm.
I think
Good for Fletch fans everywhere.
what I got from this article is this is like what Hollywood needs to start doing is like we need to start having like these like big name actors like sacrificing for these creative endeavors. What's so funny? What's so funny?
Wait, hold on. You're saying Hollywood needs to realize that we need to have actors sacrificing their pay for movies?
I said big name actors. I don't say all actors because I know a bunch of actors in Hollywood don't get paid.
Do you want to market like a cap on how much they can make per movie?
No, not like that. But it should come from like an emotional standpoint. Like if you're part of a project that you're passionate about and like you have, and John Hamm is also a producer in this movie too. So like if you have like a creative stake in what's going to be coming out, I feel like there should be a sort of, it's sort of push to, like
I feel
sacrifice.
like when an actor is that passionate about that project, they are producers typically. Like Brad Pitt as a producer on a lot of his own movies and other movies in general. Like he's a producer on Last Black Man.
I was just gonna say it's that's what happens when you produce a film. It's like you don't necessarily you feel passionate about the project, so I'm gonna invest more of my own money into it. So instead of taking a pay cut, you're investing money into it as a producer. It's almost exactly the same thing, but in this case, I don't know if John Hamm's getting EP credits or anything like that.
Yeah, like I mean, Sigourney Weaver became a co-producer on some of the later Alien movies.
She?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think so. I remember
Brad-
seeing her name in the
Brad
credits.
Dourif is a producer and EP for like all of the Chucky franchise, the Child's Play franchise,
wow.
because he's
Yeah, so they're
the
not
dude.
like I mean, Keanu Reeves notoriously took a big pay cut for the first Matrix movie.
Yeah.
For other actors, right? I think that's what it was for. It was just
for
pay,
the-
it was pay the other actors.
No, it was the Matrix 4 that he did that, not the first Matrix.
No, it was the first one.
Oh, it was the first one? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like a big like when the whole like oh nice Keanu meme sort of like started running around. That's the
okay.
story that it led with is that he took a pay cut so that other actors could get paid more.
Tyler wants it to be like $3 million cap for male actors, $1 million cap for female actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver was a
Don't you air that dirty laundry out.
Sigourney Weaver was a co-producer on both Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, that's just like I just wish that we can have more projects like that, because I feel like we don't see that a lot as much as we used to. So anyways, those are my news stories for this week. Let's get into some streaming picks. Movies.
Wanna watch a movie?
Yes, I do. Disney Plus. Oh, HBO Max.
If I don't get the pick, show's over.
I have grown accustomed to Hulu Plus.
Amazon Prime.
I like Netflix.
You found the pick.
Streaming picks. Pete, what do you got for us this week?
Okay, so I have a pretty good week this week. Yeah, the first one that I watched is a new release directed in 2022. It's called Not Okay. Have you guys heard of this one?
No.
Not Okay. It's about a influencer girl who is she works for some like online publication gossip sort of company, streaming on Hulu, and she wants to be part of the in crowd. She wants to be some of these cool hipster influencer kids.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't quite fit. She tries too hard, whatever. And she's on some sort of antidepressant medication, and she decides to fake that she went to Paris.
Oh.
So she fakes it, she goes to Paris and posts all the stuff, and she like times it. So it's like, okay, well, it's 2 a.m. here, so it's 8 a.m. there. So I'm gonna wake up to my nice baguette. Paris life, hashtag Paris life, and then post a picture of her over like this famous arch or whatever in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And the morning that she was supposed to be in Paris, there was a terrorist attack all over Paris at a couple of the places she was confirmed to be at. So she rides that wave because everyone's like, oh my God, are you okay? She wakes up to like 100 million text messages, and she gets a bunch of new followers, and she becomes this like icon of like social change. We need to stand up to violence in our world, blah, 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 blah. And she's just like riding the wave, and she is not likable at all. She is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Zoe Deutsch is the character. She was the annoying girl in Zombieland 2 Double Tap. She was in Flower, I think.
She was the annoying girl in this movie.
Yes.
Annoying girl in this movie.
Yeah, she plays that part very well, like that ditzy sort of character. But it was, it was really interesting. It was very like frustrating. The feeling of the movie was just very frustrating. It was like cringe upon cringe. And the ending worked really, really well. I was kind of building up to something, and finally, of course, you can only go so far until you get exposed for the truth or whatever. Yeah. But the way it really wrapped up was like they could have gone a lot of ways with it, and it ended really well. So it
sounds like
she dies in a terrorist
like
attack.
World's Greatest Dad.
A little bit, yeah. It had vibes of that for sure. I didn't make that connection, but it
just
does.
Like the fake, fakeness of it, and then the fame that you get from that.
Yeah, it was like that, but way more accentuated because it was on like a global level,
yeah.
And it's like how quickly that can take off. And I mean, she's going to like support groups for victims of like terror attacks, and and then she meets people who really were in these like school shootings and things like that, and is very unsympathetic to it. Like it's hard. Her character's hard to like. I don't think you're supposed to like her. Yeah. The actual opening of the movie says, "Warning: there are flashing lights, seizure warning, blah blah blah, and an unlikable female protagonist." And that's in the opening warning. So it's a very like of this generation type movie. That's called Not Okay, streaming on Hulu. I caught up on Nope. It's not streaming for free, but I just wanted to say,
oh yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. I liked it quite a bit.
Is it better than Us or Get Out? I didn't see it.
It was better than Us in my opinion, but not as good as Get Out. It was more of a spectacle than Get Out for sure, but I liked the story of Get Out a lot more. The story of Nope was cool, but the visuals of it and just like where the story went was really interesting, and what it focuses on is really interesting. And to me personally, it's a topic that I'm interested in. But Get Out, I think, was a really great self-contained, crazy concept movie that was executed really well. So, but yeah, I like Nope a lot. I watched the movie that I mentioned a little bit earlier, Gunjian Haunted Asylum from 2018. This is a Korean found footage horror movie And it's been on Brianna's list for a long time. It's been on my list for a long time. It's streaming on Tubi, it's streaming on Shudder, but it's also streaming on Amazon Prime now.
Oh,
So we watched it on Prime, and the first 2 acts, much like Blair Witch, the original Blair Witch Project, was like building, some creepy stuff happens, building, some creepy stuff happens, but the third act is fucking nuts. It does not stop.
oh,
It is nonstop. From the time that the shit hits the fan, it never stops until the very end, and it literally goes up until the last like shot of the movie, and then it's over. And the plot is that there's this haunted asylum in Korea that supposedly the caretaker of the asylum went crazy and killed all the inmates there, or all the patients there, or whatever. And they shut it down, and a lot of them, there's mass suicides, but it was rumored to actually be from like the head nurse or whatever, the director of the hospital. And there's a YouTube channel like Ghost Hunters or whatever. They want to go to this place and open the one room that no one's ever opened because it's like sealed shut. That's supposedly where the woman killed all these inmates in. So they set up it. The concept is very cool. They set up a live stream, and they have a little outpost tent outside of the asylum, and like the director of the channel is there, and he's telling all these people to do this and do that, and okay, now you go in room 1, and we got a replay playing, go throw to you. It's all live YouTube TV sort of stuff,
right.
and their goal is to get 1 million views so they can get $500,000, which makes no sense. So $500,000 in ad revenue. I'm like, damn, $1 every 2 views. Shit, I want to be in Korea. So there's like a couple of them and a couple of like of their established team, and there's a couple of newcomers. And I won't say much about it because it plays out pretty well, but there's some twists and turns in it. And is it real? Is it not real? Is it staged for the channel? Is it not? Is it real? Blah, blah, blah. And but like I said, the third act comes and it just fucking goes. It just really goes. And there's some legitimately creepy stuff. We watched it in pitch black with the volume up in the house, and it was really, really good. So that's Gonjin, Gonjin, Haunted Asylum on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
And then the last one I'll talk about is a rewatch for me that I liked when I watched it the first time, and I really liked it this time. This is Bug from 2006, directed by
the Michael Shannon movie.
It's Michael Shannon and Ashley Judd, I think. Yeah, it's Ashley Judd. Harry Connick Jr. also plays a fucking great creep in this.
Yeah.
And it's directed by William Friedkin.
Did we talk about that?
I think we mentioned it.
I feel like Adam mentioned it.
I think Adam brought it up on Adam's Plots back in the day. Because he's a big freaking freak.
Yeah.
So, and by all accounts, he should be. William Friedkin is dope. But this is it's basically a study on like psychological unraveling.
Yeah.
This is like top 5 character unravelings right here, for sure. Ashley Judd is just a woman living in a motel. She had some trauma in her past, and her abusive ex just got out of prison, and he finds her, and she is just trying to get him out of her life, and she doesn't really know how. And Michael Shannon ends up in her room from a friend. She's partying with a friend, and she brings Michael Shannon along. He's just some lonely drifter, and he's a very weird character. Easily my favorite Michael Shannon performance in this movie. He's probably more restrained. He definitely is more restrained in something like Give Me Shelter or like Midnight Express or something. But that's what it's called, right? Midnight Special.
Midnight Special.
Take
Shelter.
Yeah, I always call it Midnight Express. But in this, he's able to flex his range and his insanity, and he has those like insane eyes that work so good for this. And the short synopsis is that Michael Shannon thinks that there's a bug in his room. What kind of bug? I'll leave that up to you. And
whether they're there or not,
I'll leave that up to the third act. But it goes. This is a very similar. Actually, say it's not as similar as Gonjin, because this has a continuous ramp up from the beginning until the very end. The energy keeps building and building and building and building until you get to the point where like, where can they go from here? And how insane can these people get? And how the excitement, the energy gets so much, and it goes exactly where you think it might go.
Yeah, it's crazy that the movie is like, it was a play first.
It looks like it would be a play. Yeah,
it's crazy that a movie like that with a story like that was a play, because I cannot imagine that like watching that on a stage.
It would be. I would love to see it on a stage. If there's ever a local playhouse showing Bug, someone
Local community theater with their version of Bug.
the community theater. Oh Jesus!
I would love that.
Yes. So that's where's Bug streaming? I think it's on HBO Max. Let me confirm that. And yeah, I liked it so much better the second time I watched it, and it is on HBO Max. So that's what I got.
Okay, so I have one streaming pick this week. It's a movie that I've seen before. It's a not as good as other Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, but it's still entertaining. This is Eraser.
Ooh.
It is watching it from beginning to end. It's a movie that was made and released in 1996. But it very much feels like a movie that should have been released in the 80s because of the story and the music and the cheesy lines that Arnold Schwarzenegger has.
It's a throwback for sure. I like this movie.
It's a movie that's like that was released past its time. That probably would have been a little bit better if it was released in the 80s. Yeah, because it feels out of place. But basically, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a U.S. Marshal who specializes in like witness protection, very, very, very high-end witness protection. Where basically the movie opens where a former mob member is being a house invaded and being killed by his former colleagues,
boss or something.
Yeah. And basically, you thought you could get away from me, huh? And so like he's tied up on the floor with his wife, and they're pouring gasoline on him and about to burn the house down. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up and then kills the bad guys, and then saves the mob boss. And that's the introduction of what his job is. Is that he replaces their bodies with bodies from the morgue.
I forgot about that part.
They take Polaroid pictures of them with like fake blood on them and stuff, and they act dead. And
so he can relocate them.
Yes, and relocate them to somewhere else. And so that's basically what Arnold Schwarzenegger's character does. His character's name is John Kruger. Damn it, Kruger, give these people air. And so the main plot of the whole movie is that he's doing another job where he's protecting this woman who is sort of was hired by the FBI to get intel on the government agency she works for, which is like arms, like weapons and stuff, where they create new weapons, and they are basically selling these weapons to other countries.
That's all I really remember about it is the X-ray gun.
Yeah, and that's like that's the gun. It's like an X-ray gun that can like see all the way into your heart. Basically, you can track your heart and take you out like that. It's like a rail gun.
Yeah, the rail gun.
Yeah.
And James Caan is in it as well. There's a spoiler reveal. I don't know if it really matters that much, but you can kind of imagine he's sort of the older guy that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is friends with. But yeah, it's a more or less entertaining movie. It's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
I have it on VHS. We should watch it.
Yeah, it would be a good VHS movie for sure. And it's perfectly cheesy, fun. Ends with 2 one-liners. You've been erased, and
You've been erased,
and he caught the train. Why
don't you chill?
Yeah, it's fun
to meet you.
And there's some pretty cheesy special effects skydiving scene that is.
I like the whole X-ray through the wall thing.
Yeah.
It seemed like the technology for that CG was a little bit better than it should have been for that year. I remember it being effective, and I remember that the alligator in the zoo was not very effective.
No, alligators not the best, but still fun. And that's streaming on Netflix.
Cool. Hey Tyler, before you start this, can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a listener stream pick.
Oh,
from Kevman in the chat. Hopefully I didn't ignore you guys too much because I can't have Twitch open while I'm looking at my movie list. So I just got back in while Joseph was talking, and he says, since you guys are all wondering, my streaming pick of the week is Cyberpunk Edge Runners on Netflix. It's great animation, solid story, anime as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
That's based off of the Cyberpunk game that came out.
Oh yeah, I saw the Cyberpunk
20-something.
logo and didn't really think much about it on Netflix.
I've heard good things about that.
Cool. We'll give it a look, Kevin. Thank you.
So I have one streaming pick as well, and this is going to come to a surprise to both of y'all. It's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wait, which cut?
What is it? The Ultimate Edition
director's cut.
or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. The Ultimate Edition, I think it was called. So I was not a fan of the Justice League movie, and the Snyder Cut wasn't really. I thought it was better, but still, it didn't really land on me. But I watched Batman versus Superman, and I actually really found myself enjoying it a lot. And I think it's because, excuse me, it's the story of Batman feeling like Superman is unchecked in his power, and also going beyond that, like the government being like, oh, this guy, he really can like destroy the whole world like with like one hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the idea of everyone not worshiping Superman, but fearing him and fearing his collateral damage that he inflicts upon, and also not having an allegiance to a state or country. I thought that was a really interesting.
That's not true. Superman's American.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but he's Kryptonian. But
actually, your DNA changes once you get citizenship.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot about.
But he doesn't have citizenship because he wasn't born here.
So
he's a fucking resident.
The director's cut is 3 hours long.
Wow.
And when I saw that runtime, I was a little intimidated. I was like, okay, so like, what are we gonna see here? Like, what can you possibly present in 3 hours on this simple kind of story? And actually, there's a lot you can present in 3 hours with that simple kind of story, and I really enjoyed it. Cool. I think the action was really cool. Wonder Woman could have been introduced a little bit more interestingly better, but other than that, I thought it was really good. I'm glad I watched it, and I will rank this over the Snyder Cut. I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder because one complaint that I have about this movie is like the saturation. It just was
the contrast, like the deep blacks everywhere.
Yeah, it just it should have been a little bit more colorful. It felt very muted, but that's like
hey Zach, it's a fucking comic book, okay?
I mean, it's kind of like my same complaint with 300. It's the same thing. Like, it's just very muted.
How about Sucker Punch?
I haven't seen that one.
It's literally just a style.
It's like that, just with sepia tone instead.
Oh, I see.
So it's literally just comes down to you don't like that flavor.
Yeah, but I mean, I really did like the story. A lot of complaints that I've heard on the internet was that Batman kills and brands people. I actually thought that was really cool. Like, I thought that was a really cool addition, because if you read the comics, there's a bunch of iterations of Batman who does kill. So, you know, all the naysayer doer
100%
naysayers
that, like, Batman doesn't kill people, right? No guns, right? He definitely like kills people, like, for sure. Yeah. Like, whether it's like intentional or not, like, he definitely killed those guys in that garbage truck under that.
Oh yeah. Also, poor people who are just trying to steal to survive, he'll like put in the hospital hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical debt that they have now.
He's Javert from Les Mis.
Please just kill me.
People who steal loaves of bread, he puts them in prison for life and won't stop until they're dead.
Bat Javert.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of controversial moves that Batman does to his so-and-so adversaries. But yeah, Batman v Superman is streaming on HBO Max. And I rescind my complaint about Henry Cavill playing Superman. I actually can't see it. I can't see Superman other than Henry Cavill. Like,
nice.
I think he puts a different spin on Superman. Instead of being like this like wholesome, like sort of like superhero, he's like emotionally complex, and he really emotes that very well in Batman versus Superman. So
Cool.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
So that is my streaming pick for this week.
Wonderful. Anything else, guys?
I think that's it.
Okay. So for everyone out there in Twitch land, thank you for listening and chatting along in the chat. Every fourth Saturday we do this live through Stab Comedy. Thank you, Jesse, for that. Follow us later in the week as we review Tyler's pick from the wheel, Safe. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email. It's in the show notes.
And follow us on Twitter at Podcast MCFC and on TikTok at Middle Class Film Class.
Follow us on Instagram at Middle Class Film Class and leave us a voicemail, why don't you, at 209-730-6010.
Again, thank you, Twitch world. Thank you, podcast listeners. We will see you later in the week.
See ya.
See ya.
If you're in Twitch land, just wait about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
howdy, howdy, ho. Howdy, 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 hey. Howdy, 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 ho. All right. Listen, girl, I'm not like all these other fellas. It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark. Under the moonlight, you see a sight that almost stops your heart. You try to scream, oh, but terror takes a sound before you make it. Yeah, you start to freeze as horror looks you right between your eyes. You're paralyzed, 'cause this is Thriller night, and no one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike. You know it's Thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer thriller tonight. Hey ladies, you hear the door slam and realize there's nowhere left to run. Oh, you feel the cold hand and wonder if you'll ever see the sun. You close your eyes and hope that this is just imagination, girl. But all the while, you hear a creature creeping up behind. Oh, you're out of time. Oh, this is Thriller night, and there ain't no second chance against a thing with 40 eyes. This is Thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer thriller tonight. Oh, night creatures call and the dead start to dance in their masquerade. Oh, there's no escaping the jaws of the alien this time. Open wide, it's the end of your life. Oh. This is Thriller night. Oh, I can thrill you more than any ghoul would ever try. This is Thriller night. So let me hold you tight and share up Thriller. This is Thriller. Oh, Thriller tonight. Girl, I can thrill you more than any ghoul would ever try. This is Thriller. Oh, Thriller tonight. Girl, let me hold you tight inside of Thriller killer. Thriller killer chiller. I fulfill you, girl. I'll be your thriller tonight. Let me be your thriller, baby.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as foes. Maybe
All right, everybody.
it's not too late.
Hope you had a good break. I think we're ready. Welcome back to Middle Class Film Class.
Forget how to hate.
Hi and hello, classmates. Welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class Movie Review Edition. I'm your host for today, Tyler.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Joseph.
And today we are reviewing my pick on the wheel, Safe.
How you feeling?
I still have this head thing.
What the hell is going on here?
It's in
Head
air.
In
I
the
like the sound of
water,
that.
in our homes.
Oh my god.
It cannot be seen, cannot be heard,
It's
cannot
everywhere.
be stopped.
We can turn it on and off like a switch. We just don't know how to make it go away.
Oh.
It is not alien.
Go back!
It is not viral.
You are perfectly healthy. You might want to consult someone. A psychiatrist?
It is not natural to this earth.
Your family and friends tell you that you're overreacting.
Where can you go when no place is
Safe.
All right. Wow, that was a very bombastic trailer. I didn't even know.
Everywhere.
I didn't even know that was the trailer. But
Is that the real trailer, Joseph?
Yeah,
wow.
that's one of them at least.
What do you think it is that he's talking about?
We'll get into that
We'll
here in a
speculate.
little bit. So Safe was my pick on the Wheel of Destiny, and a little bit of context. This was my lovely Sabrina's homework assignment at one point.
Yeah,
and
you had the week before
for her environmental studies class.
the week before you brought up Safe to the first time on the show. You talked about trade secrets. That was one of your streaming picks that could only be accessed from some fucking guy's website.
Yeah, that's right.
Not on
that's
YouTube,
right.
not on streaming. It was like trade secrets, something or other, and you told us all about it. And like, you can be accessed through http:// trade, whatever the guy's name.com.
Yeah.
And then the next week, your streaming pick was Safe, and we were a little confused about that, Joseph and I. And you said it was actually Sabrina's homework.
Yes. It was her homework to watch these movies.
The lovely Sabrina.
Yeah.
It just seemed off. You're like, why this movie? This seems like a weird movie out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
after prying, you begrudgingly told us.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie. It was good.
A little further context. Sorry to derail you, Tyler, but I
Alright, go ahead.
had some preparation. It's been on the wheel so long.
It has.
I looked back through our
Sabrina's
history.
already graduated college.
She's graduated college already. She's graduated. So I went back and I was like, Tyler has had a real short run. Hasn't been getting a lot of his movies been landed on the wheel.
Yeah.
Last one was The Shape of Water, July 13th.
Right.
Then Roadhouse, which you were absent for.
I know. I was infirmed with the 19.
June 15th. Worst Person in the World, May 18th. Predators, April 13th.
Oh my god.
And I was like, it has to have been just before that it's got put on the wheel. Ants, March 16th. Gaia, February 23rd.
Oh my god.
And ultimately, it was the 500 Days of Summer episode on February 9th, 7.5 months ago.
That was when Safe
was put on the wheel.
Wow. 7 months.
7.5 months. And I have a clip.
Okay, Tyler, do you have something to replace 500 Days of Summer?
Summer.
What documentary does Sabrina have to watch next week? Yeah.
How dare you?
Is this going to be a Michael Moore documentary?
This is a remote
Actually,
episode.
Fahrenheit 9. We haven't done a documentary. Can we do that? Can we do
Blackfish?
I don't know.
Sure, why not?
No, we can't.
Bowling for Columbine.
Well, that is
Fahrenheit 911.
That is a good documentary. But no, actually, coincidentally, I'm putting my streaming pick Safe on the wheel.
Streaming pick.
Motherfucker. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know why that gets the groans and moans.
We're gonna do your girlfriend's homework for you. Okay.
I'm telling you, this is a really good movie.
I am telling you.
Nice stand by that.
Yeah. So now it is. Here we are. Almost
Over half a year later.
And what was happening in our Earth on those days? Well, I'll tell you. Top headlines, February 9th of 2022. Moscow denies deal to de-escalate Macron, who meets with Ukraine leaders. Russia and Ukraine weren't warring back then.
Oh, wow.
Let's see here. CDC director says mask mandate guidelines unchanged as some states lift the mandates. Now I don't see a mask anywhere in sight nowadays, except for in the movie Safe.
Oh, the Freedom Convoy.
The Freedom Convoy in Canada drivers snarl key U.S. border crossings.
Oh, yeah.
Or what the hell? Remember what happened with that?
I fizzled out.
Yes, and the U.S. arrests couple for allegedly laundering Bitcoin from $4.5 billion heist.
All right, so this pick on
the Winter
wheel
Olympics.
Oh yeah, the Winter Olympics were happening. Reagan was in office.
Yeah.
Inflation was all-time
We
low.
saw the two towers.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really been on the wheel a long time.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. So let me just describe the storyline before we get into some initial thoughts. So Safe has been described as a horror movie of the soul, a description that director Todd Haynes relishes. California housewife Carol White seems to have it all in life: a wealthy husband, a beautiful house, servants, beauty, and a lot of friends.
Servants.
The only thing she lacks is a strong personality. Carol seems timid and empty during all of her interactions with the world around her. At the beginning of the film, one would consider her to be more safe in life than just about anyone. That doesn't turn out to be the case. Starting with headaches and leading to a grand mal seizure, Carol becomes more and more sick, claiming that she's become sensitive to the common toxins in today's world: exhaust, fumes, aerosol spray, etc. She pulls back from the sexual advances of her husband and spends her nights alone by the TV or wandering around the house, her well-protected home, like an animal in a cage. Her physician examines her and can find nothing wrong. An allergist finds that she has an allergic reaction to milk, but explains that there is no treatment for that sort of allergy. She sees a psychiatrist who does nothing but make her nervous. In the hospital, Carol sees an infomercial for Wrenwood, a new age retreat for those who are quote-unquote environmentally ill, and leaves her husband and stepson to try and find salvation at this retreat, headed by a phony, grandstanding, sensitive individual named Peter Dunne. So, Safe. Pete, what was your initial thoughts? This was your first viewing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was my first viewing. It was on my just watch list before you added it to our movie thing. I don't remember where I heard it from. Some other movie podcast recommended it.
It's number 738 on the Criterion Collection.
Okay.
In case you didn't.
I did not know. I did not know that. So, I worked a pretty long week this week. I came home last night, put it on, put my headphones on, put it on my laptop, watched it on the couch because it didn't seem like something that Brianna wanted to watch, and producer Justice was uninterested.
I can't imagine Brie would even sit through this movie at all.
No, this would be this is it's like
just based on her personality.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is for her. This is like a hypochondria, the movie.
Yeah.
So I watched it, put it on, put my headphones on. And I have when I'm watching a movie with my headphones on, I'm almost always very, very captivated and focused on it because you pick up all the little nuances and whatnot. It was probably 20 minutes before I was asleep.
Oh, Jesus.
But that's no real...
That is not a huge indicator for me personally. I'm a very sleepy type of person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I fall asleep in movies a lot. But if it's worth it, I'll go back and I'll rewatch it again. Or if I'm assigned it on a movie podcast, which I'm one of the co-hosts of, I go back and rewatch it. And I remember as I was drifting off into my unconscious state, I remember thinking, it's getting better. Stay awake, Pete. And the first 10, 15 minutes of it was where's this going?
Yeah.
But as it settled in and you get into the psychosis of the main character, it ended up being a pretty intense and pretty kind of scary movie.
Yeah.
And it made me think a lot about the world that we live in and the crazy people in it, and how you don't necessarily need to be a nut to think that everything's poisoning you, because there's a lot of weird shit going on in the world and we're surrounding ourselves with unnatural things all the time. So there are moments, pieces of it that I'm like, okay, I could see it. But then you get into the area where they get to where they're in the retreat, and there's people screaming because a car drives by. You're poisoning this entire,
you're contaminating
this entire atmosphere, and you're like, okay, they are nuts. Sadly and unfortunately, not much to their chagrin, they feel like they're being poisoned, and I think that there's it's probably a large number of people in the world that feel in a kind of a similar way. Not necessarily about environmental poisoning, but it's something is stopping them from living their life.
Right.
And in Japan, there's a whole phrase for it: people that never leave their apartment. They get food delivered in, supplies delivered in, and they just never leave their apartment. There are people who've been
I've heard of that before.
Living in their apartment for 17 years, never left.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what's happening out. I just think, what was the world like 17 years ago? Jesus Christ! 2 years ago, totally different. You don't see all that stuff. You don't experience it. So I don't know. I ended up enjoying this quite a bit for the overall idea of it and Julianne Moore's performance. Like she's one of the best. She's one of the greats. She's really really good.
Oh yeah,
And
awesome.
but I also felt a little bit kind of sad about it. You know.
Oh yeah, it's not
about the subject matter.
Yeah, it's
kind of forced me to think about something I really didn't want to think about. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did. Joseph, what was your initial thoughts on Safe?
I thought this was a very intriguing movie from the beginning to the end, because it's sort of like some sort of mystery illness, like what's actually going on.
Yeah,
something at play here, and then you question the people that are around her, question their intentions. There's a lot of like theories that were bubbling up in my head. I was like, is the husband like sixth sensing her? The most dark and depressing part of the Sixth Sense is that what's happening to Julianne Moore?
Yeah.
But I also got when I was watching it, in the style of the movie and directing and the directing of the movie, I was like, this is like Lynch light. This is like is like Burton-esque. It's very like early Burton, like Edward Scissorhands Burton, in terms of like the characters and like the set design and stuff. There was a very colorful, vibrant, and very 80s furniture and like, decorations.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the movie takes place in the 80s. It doesn't really say.
It does. It takes place in 1987. However, there's a bunch of 90s cars like in like the foreground and stuff. So that if you're a car guy like Pete, it might take you out of the movie a little bit. But
yeah, if you're hung up on that,
it didn't. That part didn't.
Because it's like it's I guess not super apparent of what year. I guess it's supposed to be like an era of the time in which it takes place, because you can base it on the furniture and the clothes and the hair and shit. And it also, I thought it was kind of interesting because they also introduced the aspect of like, the different bad diets that were developing in the 80s, like the nothing tastes as good as skinny feels type of generation, right? Where it's like you have to go to exercise class, you have to eat the fruit diet, you can't eat carbs because nobody knew anything about anything back then. And
if you really get hungry, just have a big old Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, exactly.
Quench your thirst.
Don't drink water. Drink body armor.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah,
I drink plenty of water, friend.
I had plenty of football coaches in my day that were like, "Don't drink too much water. That's just weakness."
Okay.
What?
I don't want a headache later.
My body's made of it.
And I thought Julianne Moore was like pretty much carried the whole movie. I mean, we're with her the entire time, and like there were certain scenes where it's just like she did a fucking great job, where it's almost like there's no physical prompt for her performance, like other than it's just her, basically, just her in a shot, and she's sort of breaking down. She did a really, really good job, and I honestly did not expect this kind of movie based on what, like, back when you stream picked it and talked about it.
Me neither.
I expected a homework assignment. I expected like a Aaron Brockovich type of movie.
Oh, okay.
More of like a
procedural sort of thing.
I didn't expect an allegory, I guess.
Yeah.
Of a movie, more of like
I didn't either. That's why I chose it.
More of just like a matter of fact type of movie. But this was like, I mean, it's Todd Haynes who did I'm Not There, which is also a very interesting movie.
Right. Yeah.
He did Bob Dylan-esque. It's Bob Dylan,
it's
different
like
personalities.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like 6 different incarnations of Bob Dylan or something like that.
Kate Blanchett plays Bob Dylan in one.
Yeah. I thought it was Tilda Swinton.
No, that's Kate Blanchett.
But yeah, that's a very interesting movie, and obviously this one came out way before that. But yeah, ultimately I did enjoy it. I feel like after the movie, like when the movie ended, I felt sort of unsatisfied, but I felt like reading more into it, I didn't feel that way anymore.
And once you sat and thought with it for a little bit,
and like what it actually all meant, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Oh, cool! So it looks like there's some positive attitudes towards my movie for once. So this was like Joseph said, it was written and directed by Todd Haynes, who did a numerous amount of movies, mostly like I would say like kind of counterculture movies, in a
lot of
sense.
music-based movies too.
Yeah. So when I first watched this movie, I was Sabrina was doing homework. She was like taking her notes on this movie for environmental.
What was
it's environmental ethics study.
So what was the assignment?
Just it was basically just to review the movie and kind of point out some of the more environmental things about the movie. I was watching it in a totally different lens.
Well, yeah, you weren't in the class.
Well, yeah,
you weren't about to
me-
get graded on it.
You got me there. But after I watched the movie, I was like, dang, that's a pretty damn good movie.
It catches you by surprise if you
Yeah.
didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah. Did you guys go in cold with this movie?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Just what you've told us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I did as well. And so this movie isn't streaming anywhere, like you have to rent it, but I think it's worth the rent. It's just a really, really fantastic movie, and it doesn't linger in a lot of places either.
That opening sex scene was a little long.
She looked like she was having a great time.
Yeah. So yeah,
I like how in the synopsis it says she turns away her husband's sexual advances, and when the first time you see her having sex with him, she's just like looking at her watch, like, can this be over now?
So let's get into the movie. So that's what I was gonna comment on. Is right at the beginning of the movie with the lovemaking scene, like you can they have this like overhang shot of her face and the guy, vigorously making love on her, and she's just kind of like
that felt real.
Hey man, we've all been there, okay?
Just like, I just gotta concentrate. Well, yeah, I'm a little bit more louder than that, but
I do not want to know. I do not want to know.
We got plenty of drops. I mean, she could play something.
I got oh. I have a metronome by my nightstand too, so I'm just like,
You're not playing the Reddit.
But the lovely Sabrina is at the very end. Tyler's response is always this:
I'm sorry. Like I don't know what to say.
I'm ashamed.
I don't have that one.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Tyler's like, did you come too? He's like, no.
Oh shit! Are you serious?
Oh come on! Oh, you're making me sweat here.
Time for the sex.
Yeah. So before I wanted to say this before we actually got into the movie.
That's my wife.
Well, hopefully someday. So before I watched the movie, because as everyone knows, I watched the movie the morning of recording a show, so it sticks with me more fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out into my Fortress of Solitude in the morning, and I told Sabrina, I'm going to go watch the movie. And she's like, well, what movie are you watching for there this week? And I was like, Safe. And then she like gave me like this dumbfounded look. She's like, you Safe? The movie that we watched for my class in the beginning of the year? And I was like, yeah, I really liked it. She was like, okay. So
does she like it?
I don't know. I mean, like based on that response, I was like, I don't know if she liked it. I didn't
well, lucky for you, you don't have
to
to guess because we have another call-in guest.
No.
Just kidding.
I was gonna say, I was just like, don't you dare!
How dare you!
That would have been amazing.
I wish I could have produced like that.
She said, well, she said that if she wasn't working, she would have called in today, but unfortunately, she is working. So, anyways, so yeah, the beginning of the movie, you kind of get the feeling that Julianne Moore's character, whose name is Carol, she is just like not really all there, like when she's being penetrated, like she's just kind of like staring off into space.
So romantic.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what it is, right? And
she's kind of airheaded through the whole movie.
Yeah, but it's because of like her inferment. So
before she starts feeling that, you get the idea that she's just kind of floating through life.
Yeah, I can see
This
that
is
too.
not the color of couch that we ordered.
I think
it wasn't supposed to be black.
I think the problem with watching this movie a second time is like I already know what's going to happen. So like when I'm watching it in the beginning, I'm like, oh, it's because like she's not feeling good. So I'm going to try to like pull back memories from when I first watched it. And so when I first watched it, I was thinking, just like you guys said, like she's not all there. She's not really into like the affluent style. Maybe she's having some sort of like existential crisis in her life.
I think she's very impressionable, and very kind of goes with the flow, I guess.
And she's very soft spoken too, as you can see throughout the movie. And yeah, impressionable is a good term, because as you can see when they're in the in that cafe or sort of thing, and her friend Linda suggests that they go on this fruit diet, which took out Steve Jobs.
Ironic, he worked for Apple.
Not cancer. It wasn't that.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Well, he had a very curable cancer, but he decided against any conventional medicine and went on the fruit diet.
Well,
and that's
I would say the lack of treatment is what killed him, rather than eating fruit.
Yeah. Well,
Tyler heard someone say that Steve Jobs was killed by the fruit diet, and he hasn't eaten an apple or banana since.
Yeah, that's right.
When's the last time an orange passed through your lips?
Probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Are you lying to me right now?
No, I'm not
look
lying to you.
me in the eyes. When was the last time you ate a banana?
Oh, a banana. Oh, that's probably like 2 months ago.
I hate to derail this, but did you know that circus peanuts flavors is technically banana?
What? Ew.
Circus peanuts, those disgusting clay abominations that are made by Satan.
Banana
that are somehow still being made.
Yeah, their official statement is that they're banana flavored.
That should have been in safe too. That's a crime against
humanity. I know.
Anyways, so we go throughout that. So the first.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about that.
Yeah, it's like imagine this: someone puts candy corn inside of circus peanuts, and you have to eat it.
I couldn't think of any more punishment than that. So I would say probably for like the first like 35 to 40 minutes, it just shows her going throughout her life. She's a homemaker. She doesn't have a job. She like kind of takes care. I mean, homemaker is really of a stretch because she has what's her name? Fulvia or something.
Flavia.
Flavita. Yeah, I can't remember, but she has her servant doing all of the cleaning and
servant.
Well, yeah, that's a
servant.
Yeah, she's serving it. She's serving the household. That's what it is. What should I say? Housekeeper?
Yes, her live-in maid.
I didn't know
housekeeper.
I didn't know servant was such an offensive term. But so throughout, like probably like so this movie is about an hour and 40 minutes long. So for about 45 minutes throughout the whole movie, like you see her day-to-day life, and she's obviously like breaking down. You can tell that like her and this is what I love about Julianne Moore's acting too, is because she progressively gets more and more fatigued throughout the whole movie. Like she becomes more spacier, because in the beginning of the movie, like she's like there but not really, but you can tell like she's on like a mental decline. And then like by the end of the movie, she's just like gone.
I liked her her moments of acting when nothing's happening, but clearly she's not well.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
There's I think that's probably a sign of like a really accomplished actor or actress, is when it's like, I want you to convey that you're just having a straight up bad time. I'm straight up not having a good time right now. And it's like there's the scene when she's at her friend's birthday party, and the young daughter is sitting on what's her character's name again? Carol. That bitch Carol Baskin is sitting there with a little girl on her lap, and she's like she's hyperventilating or something, and she's got this creepy grin on her face, like she's trying to keep
at the party.
She's trying to keep like her polite appearances.
She's trying to keep her cool.
One aspect of this movie before it's like up to that point, like before it's kind of revealed that she's like actually might be sick when she goes to the retreat. I feel like the whole movie could have been an allegory for like mental illness.
I think the whole thing is still
like, I mean, I guess you could take that from this movie, you can interpret it that way. Like this is like she just has severe anxiety. She's having a panic attack. She has depression, right? And like what's happening at that party is that she's having like her first major panic attack.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I watched that scene with producer Justice, and he's like, "What's this movie about again?" And I kind of told him she's sick, but she's not sure how she's sick. And then that scene happened, and he goes, "Oh, she's just having a panic attack." And it's like anybody who's familiar with someone living with anxiety, like high anxiety, or has had panic attacks for essentially no real reason, knows all the signs. And you look at it and you're like, yeah, she's having a breakdown right now.
Yeah.
And it's like the moment right after that, I was like, okay, well, it's all kind of psychological. Maybe there's something physical there. And then when she the next scene is the cleaners. She goes in with the next main incident is the cleaner. She goes into there and they're spraying
the laundromat.
Yeah,
which I have a problem with that.
Insane. They're in there with their gas masks,
and then the lady comes out with no mask on. Oh, they're just spraying. It's just like, lady, you should not be in here without a mask. What are you talking? What are you doing?
It's like
Jesse, we have to cook.
and she immediately has this huge seizure, which is like, okay, well, maybe something is wrong with her. But you can have I don't think you need to have a chemical like immediate reaction to cause something like that. Like it could still just be psychological at that moment.
Yeah, you can't have a seizure from having a psychological problem, though, can you?
I mean, anxiety and stuff like that, I feel like can cause those types of symptoms and effects.
I mean, I'm no doctor, but I feel like she went into a room full of poison. And
but why didn't the laundry owner have a seizure?
The point that they're making there is that she's there, she's not having that, so obviously there's something different with her that's having an issue.
Like maybe she's overtly more allergic to those chemicals than the shop owner is, but in reality it's like what happens when you're having a panic attack is all these chemicals that are already in your body are just being elevated. So you have all this like adrenaline shoots up and all these other chemicals that make you feel terrible or frightening or fearful or whatever. It's like your brain is firing on all cylinders. Where does the seizure come from? It comes from you. It comes from within, and in some part of your brain switches off and misfires or whatever, and all of a sudden now you're having this seizure. So does she need to go off to this retreat place? It looks like it helped her.
I mean, I imagine that anxiety is like it's a snowball effect, right? Because like you have anxiety about like oh, is this wrong? But now am I just having anxiety about it? And then it just kind of snowballs, and you just sort of hyper focus on like, say you like have a pain in your side or something like that. It's like, oh, my appendix is bursting. Or maybe it's not really. Maybe I just have gas. Maybe it is. But then it's just sort of
hold on. Let me check WebMD. Oh fuck!
And then it just gets. You are already dead.
And then it's like, it's like you have like this false sense of pain that you think you're feeling, but it's just the anxiety that is causing you to feel that way.
It's exactly what happens with Bug in the movie. My streaming trick this week. Well, I watched that earlier in the week, and then I watched Safe last night and this morning. And I was like, man, what a pairing of these two movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that's one way of a psychosis can manifest itself. And this is a completely different, more realistic way of manifesting. Yeah. You know, the first way is like how tweakers see. Yeah. You have an itch on your arm, you scratch it, and you're like, what is that? And then you get under your skin and you look under there and you're like, is that what I look like under there? Is that a bug in me? And then you just go spirals from there.
Spoilers. So here's a little bit of trivia regarding Safe. So the infirmant that she is self-diagnosing herself with is called multiple chemical sensitivity. It's an unrecognized and controversial diagnosis characterized by chronic symptoms attributed to exposure to low levels of commonly used chemicals. Symptoms are typically vague and nonspecific. They may include fatigue, headaches, nausea, and dizziness. Although these symptoms can be debilitating, MCS is not recognized as an organic chemical-caused illness by the World Health Organization, American Medical Association, nor any of several other professional medical organizations. Blinded clinical trials show that people with MCS react as often and as strongly to placebos as they do chemical stimuli. The existence and severity of symptoms is seemingly related to the perception that a chemical stimulus is present. Commonly attributed substances include scented products, e.g. perfumes, pesticides, plastics, synthetic fabrics, smoke, petroleum products, and paint fumes. So there is a little bit of water to be held with the whole hypochondriac theory that you guys are presenting.
Like, none of it is, if it really was if it really was a specific chemical that was causing this, or a generic idea of chemicals, it would be a very similar reaction every time that happened.
Right. And I think in the movie they do present like so every time you like, okay, so for instance in the scene where after she rejects his sexual advances, the husband's sexual advances, the morning after he has an aerosol can, like, you know, for his deodorant,
Yeah.
and hairspray, and then he comes in and he was like, and she's like, please get away from me. And then the bug spray scene.
She also rejects him when he visits her at the compound
because of
she
his
hugs
cologne.
him. Well, he says
he's not wearing cologne.
He says he's not wearing cologne, so she's like, it must be your cologne. I'm like, maybe you just don't love your husband. maybe that's the case, you know.
But maybe you're just so paranoid and high, like, and anxious that you just like think it's like anything that will trigger your seizures or episodes or whatever.
We've discussed this on the air, you know, before, but not this. But what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay.
You know, there are triggers that can happen in your life, and it's like you don't necessarily even have to have a reason for it. It's like if you could be making love with a woman of your choice and their choice, and all of a sudden everything is going great, and then all of a sudden that person is like, I'm not having a good time right now. Why? Is there anything that happened during that sexual escapade session that caused her to go, you know, into like an emotional breakdown state? It's like, no, maybe there's a memory that was unlocked somewhere, something, and it has nothing to do with you or what's happening right now. But it's like, you just have to be like, okay, that's okay, no problem. We'll stop. Are you okay? You know, and it's like, you don't need a reason to break down over something. There could be such a complex underlying idea that is poisoning your brain or giving you this like anxious state that you'll try to find a reason for it, because that's what a rational person does. It's like, oh, it's your cologne or whatever. But at the end of the day, she's probably just really fucking anxious and really having a hard time with life. And in the 1990s or late 80s or whatever it was, they didn't talk about that nearly as much. It's the chemicals. It has to be. It's the chemicals.
Well, I mean,
chemicals are everywhere. Chemicals are everywhere.
Well, I mean, you know,
it's that car that's causing me to do it.
Well, I mean, like,
it's that body armor in my gut.
Oh God, stop! it kind of harkens back to the AIDS epidemic. You know, like a lot of people didn't believe the people who were infected with AIDS that there was anything wrong with them. They didn't even know what AIDS or HIV was, and so from that perspective, I can see why there would be like support groups for people who think it's all in their head. And there was actually a really great exchange after one of the support group meetings where the person was saying like, why would I like fake this? Like, why would I fake being sick? And I really have to fault the husband, because he was like, after he rejected or after he was rejected for the first time, he was just like, no one has a goddamn headache every single day of the week. And I'm just like, your wife is hurting. You went to the doctor and she was ignored. Like, if that was me, like, I'd be going to every specialist. Like, I would be.
It's easy for you to say that.
It is hard.
What do you mean? Yes, it is easy for me to say that because I would do that.
But that's easy to say that you would do that.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that we do.
Yeah.
And maybe we hope that we would. But we don't really. You don't know.
I mean, I guess it's a hypothetical situation, but
I mean, I
have enough faith in myself to do that.
Yeah, there's an allegory.
My wife's body's hurting.
There's an allegory for this to grief, you know, as well, where it's like you don't necessarily, like Brianna is dealing with a really strong grief right now. Her mother passed away recently, and she's like, I don't know how long this feeling is going to last. And it's like, is there a time limit for that? Is there a reason for this besides the obvious? And it's like,
I wish grief was linear.
Yeah, and it's not. And either is like psychological trauma or you know, this state of feeling unwell, you know, all the time. And it's like there are people, documented cases that have nothing to do with what's the acronym they used?
It's
environmental poisoning or whatever.
It's
ECP, environmental chemical poisoning.
Multiple chemical sensitivity.
Okay, well, whatever it is, that environmental poisoning, it's like take that idea out of it. That's just, in my opinion, that's just what one person is projecting why they feel this way.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's anxiety. I'm anxious because this.
Well,
And
it ultimately would be denial, right?
what do you mean?
Because like, oh, like, I don't have anxiety. I have MCS.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, you're substituting
One
just the
disorder
idea for something else. Yeah, why are you anxious? I don't know. There's no reason for it. Maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe it's this environmental poisoning. So take that out of it, though. I know there are people that go through trauma in their life and they're never the same after the fact. And they're always going to feel like a sick person or feel like a person who is less than enough or not well enough or is never going to be able to get back to their former self again because their child died or something like that in a tragic accident. And I've known people in my real life that I know them before that happened and I knew them after that happened, and they're not the same person.
Yeah.
It's just a new normal for them. And for Julianne Moore's character in this situation, it's not necessarily she's a different person. She's just always feels like shit all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe she, and the other thing too is like, again, remove the environmental poisoning aspect out of it. If I was a very anxious person, it would feel great to unplug from my life, all my requirements and duties that I have in life, and all my commitments and mortgages and blah blah blah, whatever else. People that are counting on me,
multiple mortgages.
Yeah, people counting on me for whatever, and just go off to some retreat like this and just hang out with a bunch of people and sing kumbaya. That might feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think ultimately the movie is like the parallel or the allegory is that it is AIDS. That is like the illusion that they make. I think that is the connection. That's what they're trying to say. Is that like AIDS was such a mystery disease at the time, that even people who probably were told they have AIDS, they would be like, I don't have AIDS, I have MCS. Or I
gotcha.
Yeah.
But in that retreat like segment, basically the third act in the movie, there's that scene where it leads you to believe that it is AIDS because it has a guy who was a drug addict, right? And that was like that is still obviously a known way to contract AIDS, is
needles
via drugs. There wasn't like any like I guess they would have to have like a gay person, someone who's very promiscuous.
Yeah. It was mainly
Magic Johnson.
It was like Princess Di after she shook that guy's hand.
Oh,
it was like 98% women too in that camp.
Yeah, and so that's why I would lean to the fact that it is AIDS, but I also believe that you could take whatever you want out of this movie in terms of like what is her, I guess, issue? Is it anxiety? Is it multiple chemical sensitivity? Is it AIDS? Is it any other illness that is like sort of just maybe it's all in your head, maybe it's just a psychological thing.
I also don't want to discredit the fact that it could be a chemical sensitivity, because that it does happen in the line of work that I do, collision repair. We use chemicals that contain this specific compound called isocyanate. It's like a family of chemicals which are ultra poisonous, very very bad for you. And once the chemical gets in your body, it never leaves. You can have your isocyanate level in your blood, if you were to test your blood, remains the same consistently throughout your life. And if more goes in, it gets bigger as you go on. Once you reach a certain saturation in your blood of isocyanates, you have this, what they call isopoisoning, which is isocyanate sensitivity. And if you are exposed to isocyanates at that point, like if I were you and I, all three of us were exposed to isocyanates now, like someone spraying a catalyzed clear coat in the air, you'd smell it, it would go in your body, nothing would happen. You might get a headache or whatever, and that's the next day, and that's it. But a person who has isocyanate sensitivity poisoning, they could die from that. So once you reach that, if you're working the trade, if you become desensitized and you have iso poisoning, you have to leave the trade. You can't even be in the shop. You can't work near the shop, because anytime you're exposed to it could be your last day. And so some people deny that. Doctor tells them, well, you have iso poisoning, you have to quit. And they'll deny that, and people will just end up dead in the paint shop.
That's
tragic. And that's a real thing. But it's like a very specific compound. It's not like I'm allergic to chemicals.
Yeah.
So
that's a very broad term.
Can't be around chemicals.
That was, I think that was the reason. One of the many reasons I like this movie is because I'm always flip-flopping on my frustration level. Like, I'm frustrated at Carol, who Julianne Moore's character, because I'm just like, okay, come on, like, you can't keep saying you're sensitive to chemicals and, you know, get an oxygen tank because you can't breathe or whatever. I think that's a little bit of overkill. But then on the flip side, though, it's like, well, why isn't anyone like taking her seriously? Like, I mean, they're taking her seriously enough because she is definitely doesn't look well, is feeling unwell.
Once that seizure hits, I started taking her a lot more seriously.
Right. Yeah. Same here. And so I was, but like when she goes to that retreat, though, like I kind of, that me taking her seriously started to fade a little bit, because I was like, I mean, obviously I understand the desperation that she has. You know, she's in the hospital, like these doctors aren't taking her seriously. She's doing presumably what I would assume is they're doing every test that they can to make sure that she is in fact healthy. And then she goes to this like new age retreat, which already seems really scammy. And I get that, you know, if she was just afflicted with anxiety, that going onto a retreat like this, you know, like getting out into the wilderness, disconnecting from society essentially, would help her. But at the same time, like, she's not, I feel like she's not, the one scene, and it's the very last scene of the movie, is when it starts going on this like healing sort of path, when she keeps saying I love you into the mirror, which is a little creepy, but like I applaud her for that, because like it's like baby steps into her accepting, like, this is, like you said before, this is the new normal. And so for her to live with herself instead of this constant fear of like being in danger.
I looked at it as a very similar to that, but a slight twist. The guy that runs the camp can be construed as like a charlatan. He's taking advantage of these people that feel sick.
Oh, he definitely is.
You can think of it that way, right? And say, oh yeah, it's the chemicals, and yeah, we're gonna keep you away from it, and blah blah blah. But he never really talks about how you can avoid chemicals in your real life during his weird like kumbaya sessions. He just talks about loving and accepting yourself. So maybe he knows that it's just this high anxiety that these people are experiencing.
Yeah,
he feeds into their delusions that there is a multiple chemicals poisoning syndrome that's pervading our society, and he talks enough about that, but really just takes them out of the environment so they can be calm, and then teach them how to love themselves and maybe have a less stressful life, so that they can, when they get reintroduced back into society, they are not going to have those panic attacks that they're having before.
I assumed that the igloo is a kill chamber.
Yes. Yes. That one, the guy that dressed like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction, but without leather, that was walking around.
Yeah.
They just put him in there and put him out of his misery.
Yeah, we never got an answer, or like a real clarification on the guy walking around on the outside.
They said he's just very he's just very sick. No, he's scared, he said.
Yeah,
very
scared.
afraid.
There was a bunch of shots of him just in the distance, just walking around.
Yeah, just in the foreground,
limping
along.
Afraid to talk, afraid to breathe, afraid to eat.
I do want to clarify something, Tyler. You did say foreground twice now. Foreground is what's near the camera.
Oh, sorry.
What's it? Far away.
Oh, it's
background.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, I guess you do.
So, like, for example, Tyler, this sriracha mug is in the foreground. Pete is the ground in the middle. He's the middle ground, and then the background is the closet.
Okay, I get it. You've already made yourself clear. You don't have to make me feel like an idiot on internet TV any more than I already do.
If that's how you want to perceive it, then that's up to you.
Perceive it.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go on a retreat.
I thought that the whole retreat thing was like, I thought there was something more devious at play with the Dunning guy. I thought it was like going to be a little bit more culty or creepy. I mean, he was towing that creep line pretty hard.
I think they played the part well, because there were times when I was like, where is he going with this? And then other times you just get to that. He just seems like a dork that's trying to help people.
I mean, like when they're outside and sitting like 6 feet apart, COVID guidelines, like talking to each other, like, I don't know, his performance there was like, it was really It was really good. I don't know. He just like was very just like very straight, very just like matter of fact, and like the way he just. I don't know who the actor is. He looks very familiar, but
he looked like Ted Beneke from Breaking Bad. I looked it up, but he isn't. I don't think. Oh no! I'm thinking about the husband. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean.
But yeah, that scene right there where he's like, "Why did you get sick?" It's almost like when he's asking that, it sounds like condescending.
Yeah,
like why did you get sick?
That's where I started feeling that he knew this all their psychosis was bullshit.
Yeah,
because he's not asking what are you allergic to, what chemical are you most sensitive to. He's just saying, why are you sick? How did you get there? And almost forcing them to unpack their own trauma or whatever.
Only we can make ourselves sick.
But I mean, it doesn't.
Basically, what he's saying.
It doesn't go without saying, like, we have a big problem with environmental chemicals in our society. Like, you can look at Flint, Michigan, for example, with their water. That was contaminated, and a lot of people got sick.
Jackson right now.
Jackson, Mississippi right now.
What's that?
Oh, their water
it's a state.
Oh, Mississippi?
Yeah.
I've heard that word before.
Is it Jackson, Mississippi? It's a Jackson somewhere. Basically, like their water is like fucked.
Yeah.
The city's water's fucked, and the governor's not doing anything about it.
And
that sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of examples. I mean,
Tyler's shoveling chemicals into his gullet right now, right into his fucking head.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying all chemicals are good. Don't you dare.
What's on this thing here?
It's electrolytes. It's good for the plants.
This is what Tyler is addicted to currently.
I'm not addicted to
body armor. Let's see if I'm holding up to the 10% coconut water.
Yeah.
It says no colors from artificial sources. What does that mean to you, Tyler?
No color. I don't know.
You know why they put that bullshit on the top? Because they're trying to like trick you into thinking it's natural. No
I don't
colors. No, I'm not talking to you specifically, but people when they're like 10% from fruit or all natural fruit juice on the front label, and look on the back, it says 10% natural fruit juice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We don't need to get more into body armor, but
cyanocobalamin. Oh my God, you're dying! You're dying already, Tyler.
I know. I already have half of my foot in the grave. But I think it does what this. Besides the hypochondriac aspect to this movie, I think it does bring up a good discussion about our use of unsafe chemicals in society, because we don't know if she was afflicted by a certain chemical. Maybe there was. I mean, we used to put lead in gasoline for the longest time until
and paint.
Yeah, so
delicious paint.
So I mean, like, there's plenty of examples of people being afflicted by chemicals, and like doctors being like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. So like that's kind of like what I got from it too, is like it was a bit ambiguous, because like maybe she was afflicted by a certain chemical, although it kind of really wasn't, because it was like, oh, the aerosol stuff, and then the bug spray. Like it was.
And then when she gets close to that car that's near the encampment, that sets off triggers hers again,
Yeah. So like I think I'm leaning more towards like she has anxiety because of the monotony of her life, rather than her having like an actual affliction from a certain chemical. But it goes without saying to not recognize that there is like environmental atrocities happening, especially in our.
We're not in the Garden of Eden. We're
Yeah.
surrounded by. We're shoveling chemicals into our mouth every time we eat food, unless we're growing it in our garden ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just really anything. Even if you put foods in like plastic bags or something, it's like, I mean,
Brianna doesn't let me microwave food in a plastic Tupperware. She's like, glass only, and I'm like, I gotta dirty another dish. So
this is
I don't
my good
get cancer.
Pyrex, babe.
Yeah. No, if it was Pyrex, I could microwave in it, because Pyrex is glass.
Yeah. I do want to mention two things. First one, very quickly. I did not expect to see Crazy Joe Davola in this movie.
Who's that?
He's from Seinfeld. He plays the allergy doctor who's injecting her with those.
Allergens.
Yeah.
Injects her with milk.
Crazy Joe Davola. He is crazy. And
are you sure you're an allergist?
The second thing I want to mention was like the production of the whole movie was.
I was just gonna say,
like the set design, production design, the acting, the wardrobe And the cinematography was really really good in terms of like the framing of a lot of shots. The shot composition in this movie was really good.
It was restrained but still very solid.
Yeah, it felt like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, especially with the opening one-shot sex scene. And it had very PTA type feels in certain parts in terms of like how the story carries itself. It's just kind of like weird throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, just kind of goes.
And Julianne Moore is in it.
Yeah, I was like, is this a sequel to Magnolia?
Especially like when she's like the whole couch thing when she goes to the department store and like is talking. It felt very like PTA directing style,
like the scene from Punch Drunk Love when he goes to the mattress store.
Yeah. It felt very just in cinematography and like directing. It felt PTA-esque, Lynch-esque, and Burton-esque in terms of like how it looked.
Yeah, remove the plot and remove all this talk we've had about the psychosis and anxiety and all that other stuff. It's just a good movie.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't.
Good job, Tyler.
Oh, thank you very much.
I mean, Sabrina.
Yeah,
Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Sabrina, if you're out there listening,
professor.
which I know you're not, thank you so much.
Well, I'll pass the appreciation along to her later tonight. So anyway, that's safe. If you guys don't have anything more to say about it,
no, I'm good.
Then let's get to the Wheel of Destiny.
Wait, we gotta grade it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got so caught up into this great discussion.
I'm not going to disparage you because it's been a while since you hosted an episode.
Anyways, I apologize. Let's grade this. Pete, what do you give safe?
I think I'm going to lay somewhere around like a B plus for safe.
All right.
Production's good. Acting is fantastic. Second to none. Very good. Julianne Moore, it's hard to go wrong with that.
Yeah.
But even the people around her, I think, did their part just right.
Yeah.
And it left me guessing. It made me think. I feel like the message is probably, once you extrapolate it, like Joseph was saying, you sit back and think about it a little bit. I think there's a lot you can glean from that.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Maybe feel a little sympathy from certain people in your life that you don't quite understand. So yeah, B plus, pretty good.
Oh, right on. Joseph, what do you give safe?
I think I'm in the A minus range. I think it was pretty good. It was surprisingly good. I think because I did not expect it to be like this. I expected it, I guess, like I said, a homework assignment. Like I expected it to be a lot of like political or legal like suing stuff going on, like taking on big corporations, like they're poisoning our food and water and stuff.
Yeah, it's not like Dark Waters.
Yeah, and which same director?
Yeah, exactly. I meant to do that at the top of the show, but yeah, which is also a movie I saw based on Sabrina.
Now that movie looks more like that, like the homework assignment.
It is.
It for sure is.
But yeah, there was nothing really negative I could say about it. I even think like the husband in the beginning was sort of unlikable, but he ended up being really supportive.
I kind of was expecting him to be
like cheat on her. Or
turn into a monster, and he went along with it.
But yeah, he was as supportive as possible, even though he's like a rich, usually his type of person, rich, always working businessman. They're like and like just like the first scene, the opening sex scene, he's obviously very selfish, like just like the first scene.
Aren't we all?
And so it kind of paints that picture of him, but then he ends up being, kind of redeems himself. Aren't we all? Like, oh yeah, I'll take you to Renwood. I'll do all this stuff for you.
I think that too.
Like, oh yeah,
that's he's a very realistic portrayal of someone who's dealing with a partner in your life. There's times when you're going to be very frustrated about it, like Jesus Christ, dealing with. Can't we just have a normal day? And then there's times when you're going to be like, ultimately, I'm here to support you. It is very frustrating sometimes. It's like, what is wrong with you? Please, I want to help, but I can't. Blah blah, whatever. It's like,
but yeah,
what is wrong with you? Please, I want to help, but I can't.
Yeah, I would have to piggyback on that and give an A minus as well. Yeah, I would have to. After the second time, knowing what's going to happen, I think it gives you a little bit better perspective, because I was really blindsided by this when I first watched this movie. I didn't know what to think. Like, I enjoyed it, but I was like, oh my god, like there's so many thoughts swirling in my head. I usually only a couple of thoughts at a time, but yeah, it was really surprisingly good, and I'm really glad to watch it. And it's a really highly regarded movie really glad that I learned when I was doing research on it this morning. So it's yeah, Safe is good. I don't think this is a movie that I'll watch anytime soon, but I would not mind watching it again. And actually, I kind of want to watch it like like at the Crest Theater or something. And actually, that would be a pretty good experience.
I have not much of a desire.
That would be
to watch this experience. Not much. It seems pretty stressful. It was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
It really is. Anyways, so now we have our grades locked in: B+ to A-. Let's get to the wheel of destiny. Now we have our grades locked in.
One wheel, 8 slots, 3 hosts. This is the Wheel of Destiny.
Okay, everybody, Safe is off the wheel after almost 8 months.
I know. That must be our longest
Safe is off the
movie that's
wheel
been on
after
the wheel
almost
for
8 months. For now, it is for sure. I don't know if it's like of all time ever, but possibly. So it is for sure. I hope you have something good.
Oh, yes, I do. So speaking of Julianne Moore and Paul Thomas Anderson, my replacement for the Wheel of Destiny is Boogie Nights.
Oh, cool.
The reason why I'm picking it is because I've heard a really good. I've heard a lot of really good things about this movie, and I've never really checked it out. But that movie to land because I've been. A lot of people have recommended it to me, so I can't wait to watch it.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too. There's so many fantastic scenes in it that are like, yeah, I do too. God, just so tense.
So P.T. Anderson.
Yeah, and this was second. This is a second feature. It was Hard 8, then Magnolia, then Boogie Nights, or Hard 8, Boogie Nights, Magnolia. Second or third, something like that. Boogie Nights or pretty early on. Okay, cool. So let's recap the wheel. Streamers that are still catching us out there. We have 8 slots on the wheel, 3 hosts, as the theme song says. And we're going to spin to see what we have next week. I'm going to recap the wheel. Terminator 2 Judgment Day from Pete. A fan pick. Before Sunrise from Joseph, which will be the first of the trilogy. Another fan pick. If Beale Street Could Talk from Joseph. Predator, the original from Tyler. Gerald's Game from Pete, and the newly added Boogie Nights. So, let's give this a spin. Live on camera. If Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anything about this.
This is a Barry Jenkins movie. Oh, okay. Directed Moonlight.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, nice.
Barry Jenkins of Moonlight.
I really enjoyed Moonlight. That was such a
nice. What else has he directed?
Moonlight.
That's it.
Really enjoyed it.
No, besides
I mean, Moonlight is the biggest one.
No, besides
I guess. I mean, Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk, Underground Railroad, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. That's the one. Medicine for Melancholy. He's directing the Mufasa, the Lion King movie. Medicine for Melancholy. But yeah, so If Beale Street Could Talk is streaming on Netflix. It's exactly 2 hours and 0 minutes.
Beale Street Could Talk is wow, that's weird.
This stars Kiki Lane, Stephen James, Regina King, Paris, Coleman Domingo. Oh, there I am. Basically, the synopsis quickly on is this Just Watch? After her fiance is falsely imprisoned, a pregnant African American woman sets out to clear his name and prove his innocence. So it's a very one-line synopsis there.
Most of those movies that he made sounds very depressing.
Yeah, well, we watched Moonlight, and that was sad.
Yeah, that was
absolutely
sad.
Cool. All right. So, anything else, fellas?
I think that's it. Oh, I wanted to say I had a joke set up for Julianne Moore in Safe. I was gonna say, starring Julianne Moore, most notably known from The Lost World Jurassic Park, but that's kind of too late now. So,
way to nail it.
I'm glad that you said it now.
Yeah.
All right, so we're good.
Yeah,
yeah.
Now we're good. Now we're good.
Had to get that one in there.
I had to get it out of my system.
That was perfect.
I thought about it the whole night.
Okay, so Until next time, thank you, Twitch streamers, for watching us live. We do this every fourth Saturday through Stab Comedy. Thank you so much, Jesse, for hosting us. Catch us next month on our fourth Saturday, and we will try to promote it on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Probably not, though. Yeah, check us our socials for Facebook and our email in the show notes, and get some merch down there in the show notes.
Follow us on Twitter at Podcast MCFC and on TikTok at Middle Class Film Class.
And follow us on Instagram at Middle Class Film Class and leave us a voicemail, why don't you, at 209-730-6010.
All right, see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. That is it for us for the afternoon. But we'll be back at 9 o'clock. Just one show tonight. LOLGBT Plus presents hashtag STFU. Yes, a lot of letters, but it's a lot of fun. Drag, stand-up, and then stand-up's doing drag, and drag performers doing stand-up. That's what it is. Come check it out or watch us here, 9 o'clock. However you like to ingest your stab programming. For those of you that are remaining, well, you guys bailed real quick. You know what? Just have lunch. I'm not going to rate us anywhere. You just go have lunch, and we'll see you back here at 9. Have a good night, or afternoon, into the night. You know what? I'm going to stop. See ya.
Bye, Jesse. Thank you. I wonder if it was I opened up Stab on my browser. Oh, damn it. Okay. I was like, my phone died. I'm like, well, let's see if we're still live. All right. See you next time, bud.